Hello everyone. Good afternoon. Uh, Now, you all students, you asked me not to take this class because you were on a strike, and it creates a very complex situation for me as a teacher because no official communication has been made to me whether to take class or whether not to take class. So I think I discovered an alternative, strategy. What I had I had used it before in order to complete your course and not to disrespect your protest. For that, you know, no students are with me right now. So what I thought I will take the class and I will record it, I will upload, and then I will send you the link. So exactly uh, today I will do that. What was actually denied by Dr. Prakash. He told me to take the class and students should be with you so that uh, attendance can be calculated properly and uh, justice can be done. So we were discussing about Gia Barney, and we were discussing about his concept of justice. So today we will continue Gia Barney and we will complete Gia Barney, and I will start Abul Fazl. In the last class, if you remember, right, the justice given by Gia Barney is very much related to the security of the state, and for the security purpose, he wants remission of taxes, at least during the calamities. He suggested the king should remit or reduce the taxes and extend monetary help from the treasury of the kingdom. Right? And failure of crops with price increase coupled with the continuation of the revenue collection in the same proportion as during the normal harvest might have created or may create a discontentment among the population. To avoid it, Bernie suggested towards forsaking revenue exactions. So you know why the treasury of the kingdom is open in the calamities, primarily to avoid the discontentment among the people. To dispense justice, the courts were divided into civil courts and criminal courts or criminal category at both the level, central level and provincial level. The judges were to be appointed by the king, with himself as the apex of the judicial structure or fountainhead of the justice and height and highest court of appeal. Right? The king will appoint the judges both at both central level and provincial level. And the king is just like the Supreme Court today. Supreme Court is not the president. President can be compared with the king, but in that time, the king was the Supreme Court. The king was the apex of judicial structure. The king was the fountainhead of the justice. The king was the highest court of appeal, right? So when the king gives a decision, then you cannot challenge to the king. You have to accept the king. So at that time, the king was the head of the justice, and below him there was chief justice who was appointed by the king, and it is known as, in Islamic term, that Qaji ul Qajat, Qaji ul Qajat. And below the Chief Justice, there are different provincial judges. And those provincial judges were called Sadr as Sadur. Sadr as Sadur. And below the provincial judges, there are certain central judicial officers who are called Amir Aidad Bakri Hajrat. Amir Aidad Bakri Bakri, not Bakri, Amir Aidad Bekai Hajrat. They are the central judicial officers. And below them, there are certain judicial officers at the provincial level who are called Qaji Amir e Dad. Qaji Amir e Dad. And below them, there are municipal officers or moral municipal officers, right? And those, in Islamic term, they are called that mutahashib, mutahashib, right? So these, six, including the king, where the judicial, system or structure, uh, what Barani has advocated, right? Now, for religious cases, the king is assisted by mufti or sadr as sadur, the provincial judges. Different province have different, tradition, culture, belief, right? So religion is always, I'm sorry, just a call. Oh, I'm extremely sorry, there was an urgent call. So, there are civil cases, there are criminal cases, and I just mentioned about the structure of judicial system. And for religious cases, the king was assisted, or king is assisted by mufti or the sadr us as sadur. While for the secular cases, he was assisted by Qaji ul Qajat, right? Who is the Qaji ul Qajat? The Chief Justice is the Qaji ul Qajat. So for secular cases, the king is assisted by the Chief Justice, And for the religious cases, the king is assisted by the sadar us sadur, who is the provincial judges. So in a simple term, for secular cases, king is assisted by the chief justice, and for the religious cases, the king is assisted by the provincial judges. So as the Sultanate was mainly, urban in character, the organization of justice was limited to the main administrative centers, while the panchayat, Gram Panchayat, continued their customary modes of dispensing justice based on status, caste, property, etc. So we can see there are, two modes of justice. In so far as the urban area is concerned, the justice uh, is mainly, it is of secular in nature. So you may not find uh, the cleavages like status, caste, or property, so far as justice in administrative centers, are concerned, right? So far as the urban area is concerned, you may find the justice is based on the secular values, and so far as the justice in the rural area is concerned, then you will find, and what Barney is also saying, that the justice is based on the status, justice is based on the caste, justice is based on the property. Now, justice thus had two operational levels, operating in a rural area and operating in the urban administrative center. But in both the cases, there was one common factor, and that was no discriminatory justice, rather than it was differential justice based on the merit of the case and on the religion of the individual. So, when I'm saying that there will be no objection at all so far as urban centered justice is concerned, which is based on the secular values. But one may put question, why Bernie allowed the rural justice system by taking the status, caste, and property of the individual into consideration. Now, Bernie has justified it by saying that even the rural-based justice system was not discriminatory, rather than it was a differential justice system. It was a differential justice system because, and what we call the distributive justice today, distributive justice, that every individuals are not same. There are differences. There are different status, different caste, different property. There are different differences in many ways. Individuals are. So justice, if individuals are different, justice cannot be same, right? But this differential justice is not discriminatory, in nature. Let me give you an example. I have already given the earlier in the Mahabharata, between the Duryodhan and Yudhishthir. Duryodhan, what he did, he followed a very unique, justice system. If crime is the same, and whoever does the crime will get the, same or similar punishment. But when that case was handled by Yudhishthir, then he asked about the caste, and accordingly he gave the punishment. So what Bernie is saying, that justice based on status, caste, and property, that is not necessarily discriminatory in nature, but rather than, no doubt, this is when the justice is based on these uh, units, then that justice becomes the differential justice system. Although Bernie emphasized the following, the Shariat, the very possibility of its operation was marginalized by changing the composition of rulers, quasi-judicial personnel of administration, greater incorporation of the Hindu. Now, Bernie is also saying, I mean, here there is a secular values that is attached to the Bernie, and what is that secular values? And no doubt Bernie has talked about the Shariat, right? The Shariat should be operated, uh, right? Shariat law will be followed, uh, right? Uh, but uh, the same judges will not be always. There is the uh, you know there will be changes in the composition of the rulers. There will be changes in the quasi judicial personnel of administration. There is the incorporation of the Hindu. So no doubt Shariat law will be followed, but that Shariat law uh, will not discriminate, right? Because different personals are coming and they are interpreting Shariat law. They are trying to contextualize the law, and they are interpreting, they are contextualizing the law, and accordingly they give the justice system. So there are so many variation so far as the implementer of Shariat law is concerned. So you know it is wrong to assume that Shariat law always gives importance to the Muslim, and Shariat law is very much discriminatory, and Shariat law has no secular values. And this is Barani's argument. The adaptation of the liberal attitude on the part of Sultanate towards the Hindu is because of you know as I from the very beginning I mentioned about there are two kinds of laws: Shariat law and Javit law, state laws. Which what is Javit law? Javit law is those state laws formulated by the Sultan in consultation with the nobility in a situation where Shariat was unable to fulfill. Right now, the adaptation of this Javit, it means there is a liberal attitude on the part of Sultanate towards the Hindus. And why this liberal attitude? Why this Javit as a form of law was advocated by Jia Barani? Now, primarily because of two reasons. So one is that the dependency of Sultanate on the local aristocracy in the revenue collection. Now, at the ground level, right? At the ground level, local aristocrats, they are very powerful, and without the help of local aristocrats, the revenue collection is not possible. Now, the Sultanate depends on the local, aristocrats to collect the revenue. And who are the local aristocrats? Mostly they are the Hindus. So that's why, Barney, somehow justified, and Barney indirectly suggests the king to follow the liberal attitude towards the Hindu. That is the first reason. And the second, the vast population of Hindus inhabiting the rural areas surrounding the sorry, the vast population of Hindus inhabiting the rural areas surrounding uh, the minuscule population of the Muslim living within the restricted urban administrative center. So in the center, Muslims are, they are saying, or they are situated, and in the periphery, the large number of individuals they belong to the Hindu. So at the center, at the urban administrative center, there are only few number of Muslims. They are the ruler, and surrounding there are many, Hindu king. There are many. There are vast population of Hindus, and who could not be antagonized at the cost of jeopardizing the security of the state. Now, the moment the center, do something wrong to Hindu, then the periphery may finish the center. Now, the center, who is what is Muslim dominated, the center cannot jeopardize its own security by antagonizing the periphery. And the periphery means antagonizing with the Hindus. Now, these are the two reasons Barney justified, and Barney suggested the king to follow the liberal attitude towards the Hindus. Now, that is why Barney emphasized the formation of the Javit. Right. Now, Berkeley's theory of justice thus essentially, emanated from the perspective of the security of the state. So his justice is very connected with the security. So what Bernie is saying, if you will not follow the principles of justice, the principles of rule of law, then your security, it will be, it is gone, or it will finish, right? Now, Bernie used justice as an instrument to expand the basis of the political, obligation of the subjects towards the state. But the contradictory aspect of his theory, you know, Bernie used justice. So justice was a means to expand the political obligation of the subjects towards the state. But the contradictory aspect of Bernie's theory was his hatred and contempt towards the descripts which nullified his political use of religion for the purpose of linking the underprivileged with the ruler. So let me read it. What does it mean? The contradictory aspect of his theory was his hatred and contempt towards the nondescripts, which nullified his political use of religion for the purpose of linking the underprivileged with the ruler. Here Bernie is saying that Bernie is trying to broaden the social base of the Sultanate. Now, to broaden the social base of the Sultanate, Bernie, knew that without the help of underprivileged, whose number is very large, uh, the social base of the Sultanate cannot be uh, um, strengthened or cannot be enlarged. For that, you know, uh, if you remember in the last class, for that, you know, he suggested, right, the army. He suggested the army uh, to act as the facilitator in the expansion of the Islam, either through converting the local aristocracy into Islamic faith or annihilating them. Either it is called the sword theory, right? Either if you accept our Islam, then we will welcome you. If you don't accept our Islam, then you become the haram, and we will kill you, right? Now, these are the two strategy army was used to expand the territory. Now, the moment Bernie is saying that those who are not following Islam, right? Bernie, in a way, in a sense, Bernie is propagating a kind of hatredness to the non-follower of Islam. Now, this position, nullify his, theory of using religion, using religion to create a social base. But there is a merit of his theorization. Then what is the merit? Now here, however, one must be careful in analyzing the conditions of the poor Muslim. Economically, Muslims might have been poor and weak vis-a-vis to the ruler, or vis-a-vis to the who vis-a-vis to the what is his name? What is his name actually? Nobles, vis-a-vis with the kings or nobles, uh, right? But psychologically, poor Muslim psychologically, they might have professed the thought of being the superior to the non-Muslim, right? But the virtue of professing the same faith as the Islamic ruler. Now, psychologically, they are very superior. But the same case, in the traditional society, a poor Brahmin was very powerful than the rich, Boishya, rich Sudra. I mean, he was very, 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 very powerful. Right? Now, a feeling of being the conqueror and ruler might have existed in them. So, Bernie's theory is not 100% wrong, right? The way Bernie wanted, to use religion you know, enlarge the or strengthen the social base, right? In that theorization, Barney is not wrong also. I mean, Barney is neither right because he is having hatredness to the non-Muslim, and Barney is also not wrong because poor Muslim, they psychologically connect with the king. Now, a feeling of being the conqueror and ruler might have existed within the poor Muslim, and that helps. Now, Barney might have tried to use these feelings among the poor Muslim for the benefits of the ruling class, right? So Barney, I told you that Barney is the Muslim Chanakya, and he is the Muslim Machiavelli. So Barney knew the psychology, the mentality of the subjects, and he, convert everything in such a way that at the ultimately, it strengthened the state. Now, being a realist and an opportunist, Barney tried every means to achieve the political objectives of the Sultanate and the expansion of its social base. So the main goal of Barney is to, achieve the goals of the Sultanate, and the goal is to expand, and expand, right? So expansion of territory and the expansion of its social base. So, in a sense, the Ummah culture, Ummah, the world Muslim. Right? So, this is all about your, geography. So, today I will start that Abul Fazl, right, and his concept of monarchy. I will start. Maybe I will take, 2 or 3 classes to complete your Abul Fazl. Then we have two more. So one is the Sant Kabir, and the second is the Buddhist, political thought. Now this Abul Fazl, he was an eminent historian of medieval India, and he occupies a place of distinction because of the, you know, you know, predominance of the intellectual element in his writing, and because of his unfailing appeal to the region against the religious and cultural tradition, and because of his broader view of history, and because of his new methodology of interpretation of history. Now, these are the 4 reasons why Abul Fazl is very distinct. Abul Fazl is a very good friend of, Akbar. So, in a sense, there are certain secular aspects that is attached to the Barni. But overall, if Barni represents the Orthodox Muslim, then Abul Fazl represents the secular Muslim, right? His distinction of being the historian of eminent historian of medieval India is because of 4 things. So one is that he has given importance of intelligence in his writing. So he is not religious, he is not ideological, rather than he was an intellectual. So that is called predominance of intellectual elements in his writing. So Barney was firstly he was an intellectual. Second, in his writing he has applied, he has followed, he has appealed to the reason against the religious and cultural tradition. That is why he is distinct. And the third, he has taken the broader view of the history. And fourth, he has adopted a new methodology. I will let you know, in the next class maybe. And what is that methodology? He has adopted a new methodology of interpreting the history. Now, his interpretation of history was integrally linked with the political, social, economic, and religious realities of that period. Right? So he has interpreted the history in such a way that the reading of his interpretation was helping the readers to link it, the link the history with their present political condition, present social condition, present economic condition, present religious condition. So that's why, Abul Fazl, he was very distinct. Now, at the beginning of the Mughal period, India was divided into smaller kingdoms. Just before the Mughal period, India was divided into smaller kingdoms with political instability. There was constant fighting among the kings. Right? Now, this political instability, it was ended with the victory of the Mughal ruler Babar, who conquered much of India, and that resulted in an integrated and vast Mughal empire. And this integrated vast Mughal empire had many new characteristics. And what are the characteristics? There are five, you know, characteristics. One is hierarchical administrative structure. Even today we are following the hierarchical administrative structure. Now, Mughal has introduced this hierarchical administrative structure. Then second, they had adopted the strong monetary policy. Third, they centralized the governing system. Fourth, they adopted new methods of military organization. And fifth, the emergence of the fresh ideas in cultural and religious field. Now, these are the five new characteristics that has been attached with the Mughal Empire. The last one is the emergence of the fresh ideas in the cultural and religious field. It means they were thinking, they were developing, they were expanding. Their approach was very flexible. Now, these new structures gave rise to a novel integrated culture that had elements from both Hindus and Muslim thoughts. Now, this Mughal Empire, you will find these new characteristics, and in these new characteristics, you will find a integrated culture, an integrated culture, a culture that has been derived, or the elements of integrated culture has been derived from both Hindu thought and Muslim thought. And the primary message of that integrated culture was that no religion is inferior to any other. God can be found without blind belief in superstition. I mean, atheists are thinking that theists are the believer of the superstition. So an atheist can also find the God. God can be found without blind belief in the superstition. All humans are equal. There is basic unity and equality in all religions. So these were the dominant features of that integrated culture. Now, Abul Fazl, he was basically a courtier. I mean, he was working in the court of Akbar. He was, along with that, he was an historian, and above all, he was the friend of Akbar. His massive work, Akbar Nama and Anhi Akbari, right? Now, this Akbar Nama has two parts, and the Akbar Nama opens with the praise of Allah. and then it moves to Adam and traces Akbar's lineage back to the 53 generation of his ancestor. Now, in this Akbar Nama, Abul Fazl has dislocated Akbar as the higher of Muhammad or Khalifa, and he located Akbar as the higher of Adam. And who is the Adam? Adam is the first human being, and he is the ruler of all humanity. Now, Abul Fazl has connected Akbar not with the Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad or Khalifa. Rather than he connected Akbar with Adam, or Akbar is the higher, the children of Adam. And in the second part, Akbar, or second part of the Akbar Nama, Abul Fazl has given the complete account of Akbar's rule in a chronological manner. And as a result, the text promotes the ideas of a powerful sovereign and a centralized state structure. That is the second part of the Akbar Nama. Now, Akbar Nama and Anhi Akbari together constitute a single book. Now, in the Anhi Akbari, come in. I'm taking a class. Right?
Just needed 10 to 15 minutes to talk to you.
Let me finish it first.
Uh, when can I come?
10 minutes. Okay. So, in the Anhi Akbari, what is there? A compilation. What is it? What is it called actually? Compile. What is it called actually? Compilation of the system of administrations and the control over various departments of the government is mentioned. So in the Akbar Nama, you find in the first part of the Akbar Nama, one can find Akbar's lineage and connection of Akbar's lineage with the Adam. And the second part of the Akbar Nama, one can find the the complete accounts of the Akbar rules in a very chronological order. As a result, one can find the ideas of a powerful sovereign and a centralized state structure. And in the Anhi Akbari, one can find the compilation of the system of administration, control over various departments of the government that is mentioned, and it records a wide array of facts such as resources, populations, industry, wealth, etc. A wide area, it records this. Anhi Akbari records a wide area of facts such as resources, population, industry, wealth, etc. It also contains an account of religious and philosophical system of Hindus as described in their ancient book and their social custom and practices. So one can say that the massive work of Abul Fazl, which is the combination of both Akbar Nama and Anhi Akbari, one book, they constitute one book. That book designated Abul Fazl as a very secular Islamic political thinker. And it is because of his friendship with the Akbar, Abul Fazl get this designation as secular in comparison, unlike Jia Barani. So I'm stopping here. I will continue. I will continue, and I will maybe in next 2 or 3 classes we will understand you know Abul Fazl in a very clear manner, in a very systematic manner. What are his secular values and what are the things he has learned from the Akbar, and what are the things Akbar has learned from the Abul Fazl. So thank you, thank you very much.